Hi, I'm Jennifer and I do alterations, and today I'm going to show you how to fix this. Yeah, so I was refreshing my basic wardrobe, the basics in my closet, and I really like this one because I was trying to get things that were a little different than the usual. So I like this one because it had this neckline that I don't always wear, but actually, yeah, I like that kind of boat neck neckline. But because there's no darts or shaping, I find this a lot. I mean, this is a common problem with tops and also dresses. This one's really obvious. And yeah, if you have any kind of chest but no shaping, and there's extra fabric like this, yeah, it's gonna buckle like that. And I don't even have that much chest, and it's already really buckling like that. So that definitely needs a dart. So I'm going to fit it now and place those darts, and then yeah, sew them, and you'll see how this can be fixed. Okay, let's just do one side at a time. I have my safety pins or chalk. I'll just see what's going to work best to pin this to make this dart shape. Fabric pucker out. All right, so like right here, I see is, let me mark this. Ideally, you have another person do this, but a lot of times that's not possible, or the other person's not comfortable with doing it. So I'm just gonna do it myself. Okay, I got one pin in, there we go, and then I can see the very end of it, so I'm just gonna put a mark there. Really, all you need is to have the beginning of it and then mark the end point, and that's really all you need to be able to do the dart. So I'm just going to mark with a pin the end of it, where it's going to end, and then mark one side, mark the other. So you see those two marks. Yep. First, we have to mark the legs of the darts on each side. So I have a metal straight roller and a piece of chalk. I'm going to zoom in and show you the design of this area. So you have two layers, the main layer and the lining, some understitching. And at the pins, I've got marked the start of each dart leg. And then that third pin is the apex or the end of the dart, so the pointy part of the dart. Now I'm going to flip over to the lining because there has to be a dart on both sides. So then I just mark the other side for the lining. And you see I used a pin so I can see, I just pin where the dart is, and then I can just flip it over and make a mark there on the lining. So then I can transfer the exact shape of that dart from the main fabric to the lining. And here are the two darts overall. You can see they are slightly different shapes and positions, and that's just because of the asymmetry in the body, and that's okay. Now I'm going to start separating the main layer from the lining, and so I'm just going to take these top stitching, and take it out. Now after we do the darts on each layer, we're going to have to rejoin that armhole seam, and so I'm looking for an opening that I can get in between those two layers, and I just found it on the inside the side seam. And so this is where you can just easily re-sew that with your sewing machine. And so I'm going to take out those stitches. And now I'm inside between those two layers. I can go and actually pull that seam out so I can see the other side and have access to it. Now at this point I could actually sew those darts without separating the two layers there. See, I'm pinching it, and you can actually sew it in that shape. I probably should have done that. I don't know why I didn't do that. I guess because I'm just not used to doing that. But honestly, it would probably be easier. But since I don't traditionally do that, I'm just going to do the little longer way and show you that. But just to let you know, you can take the easy way out and just sew it all and not have to take out that seam in the middle like I'm going to do right here. And you got to be very careful with this because in knit fabrics, it's especially easy. So knit fabrics like stretchy fabrics, it's especially easy to make a hole when you're removing the stitching with these sharp objects. It's pretty easy to make a hole in the fabric. So I'm just taking this nice and slow. Now I'm going to transfer the marking from the right side of the fabric to the inside of the fabric, because the inside of the fabric is where we need those guidelines to be able to sew onto. I do this, I just take the pin and go right along that line and then just draw directly on top of it. The chalk is just going to scrape along that pin, and it makes these nice, very accurate lines. And then once those lines are on there, I can just go in with a ruler and make an exact dart shape. And now I'm just going to fold that dart exactly in half so that I can pin it and then sew it. Now that all the darts are sewn on all sides, so I have 2 darts on the main lining, 2 darts on the lining. Now I'm gonna join those armhole seams back together. And what I'm doing here is just taking out more of that top stitching, because that top stitching is actually covering up the main line, of stitching that I need to get to, because I need to sew a line to like the first line, and then I have to join it to the old line, and then I can put the top stitching back on if I want to. It can be optional. And here I'm gonna just show you a little bit of how I handle that clear plastic that you see that's in a lot of garments, just to give some extra, I think, strength to these areas of high tension. They put this little stabilizing elastic along there, so I'm just sewing it back down. Now I've got those all stitched together. I put in my, so yeah, I did the main line of stitching, and then I also did a line of serging. Yeah, I went ahead and serged it also. There's the new serge thread. And just that little spot right there, you see I have to, I couldn't access it all the way because it does run into another seam point that I just didn't want to take apart. So in that case, I just did some hand stitching to close it up the rest of the way, because it can be difficult to access everything through the sewing machine. So here I'm just going and restitching that access point that I showed you earlier that was on the inside side seam. And yeah, now I'm gonna put it on a pressing board and just give it a nice press to set the seam in. It just softens the lines, presses them, and then softens everything together to look yeah, crisp and natural. And there's with the top stitching, I did go back in and put the top stitching back, just not all the way, see, because again, it can be hard to access those areas. And yeah, here's a before, here's an after. You can see, yeah, there's no more of that gaping, and it turned out great. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.